Welcome back to another episode of Technology for Independence with Christopher Cooley. Christopher Cooley is a Ohio Tech ambassador with the state of Ohio, in which he's going to be talking about two significant occurrences in the last week of July, those being the Americans with Disability Act and the Ohio Service Dog Awareness Program, that he's going to be speaking on how these two programs affect individuals with disabilities. Chris, always a pleasure talking with you.
Patrick, always a pleasure to be here today. The last week of July every year is the Americans with the Disabilities Act anniversary and also the Ohio Service Dog Awareness Week anniversary. Back in 1990, Americans with Disabilities Act was considered for individuals with disabilities, helping bring accessibility to the workforce, the community, shopping, living on their own. The Americans with Disabilities Act helped individuals to be able to thrive in their community and in their home and at work. And what that means is that the Americans with Disabilities Act has given us access to the world. And it also helped us to be able to advocate for others that are needing accessibility, technology, whatever it may be, to make their life easier to be able to live in the community.
As a matter of fact, I think you brought a video. Let's go ahead and play that video.
Oh, hello there. Have you heard of the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA? Yeah, the ADA is a law that prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities. This law ensures that people with disabilities are able to fully enjoy all aspects of society. Things such as employment, private business, state and local government organizations, public accommodations and services. The ADA defines a person with a disability as someone who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, or a record of such an impairment. For example, a person who has had cancer but is now cured or in remission, or being regarded as having such an impairment. For example, a person with burn scars who's not impaired in any way, but is discriminated against because someone assumed they were impaired. Major life activities are things that most people can do with little or no difficulty, such as caring for oneself, seeing, hearing, eating, walking, speaking, learning, communicating, and working. Major life activities also include the operation of a major bodily function. These are things like the functions in our organ systems. The ADA's definition of a person with a disability is meant to be broad. Each person is different, and disabilities vary from person to person. Another thing to note is that the ADA still applies even if medication or medical equipment can be used to relieve the effects of a disability. Not all disabilities are alike, and some are more obvious than others. For example, someone who uses a walker or a wheelchair has a visible disability. But there are also disabilities that can be difficult to see, such as asthma, depression, or diabetes. Although these disabilities are not always obvious, they still have a way of limiting daily activities.
Scout, come here, boy.
Whoop. Looks like I better go. Thanks for stopping by.
Patrick, that's a great example of how different disabilities could be seen, or other disabilities that may not be able to be visible. Many of us have different disabilities in different ways, and I would like to show you where you can find information and how to use that information to make accessibility for all. So if we go to ada.org or ada.gov, those are websites that we can go to and learn about different disabilities and learn about how we could be more accessible. in our communities, at workforce, hospitals, anywhere individuals would like to go and be part of. How can it be more accessible? Here is a website, the ADA National Network, and they have almost everything you need to know on this website, from resources, ask questions, view ADA, videos. If you want to watch them, you could find training. This is the good thing about this, is that you could find training, and training is important. No matter what businesses that you have, whatever community, government offices that you may have, these trainings are important. What does the training mean? The training means that you're teaching your employment how to be accessible, how to work with a blind individual, how to work with individuals that are nonverbal. And what do you do when you see a service dog or a pet that somebody tries to use as a service dog? So these trainings are great access to every business, every government offices, wherever it may be. These trainings are a good access, and it will help build your business, because individuals will see that you are training your employees how to be more accessible, how to be more helpful to people with disabilities. And in July, we bring awareness. We celebrate our life because we're able to be able to get out there, be independent. And we see that these businesses are being accessible. We're going to go to these places and we're going to celebrate and spend our money and have a great time with our friends and family and our coworkers, whoever it may be. We can do that because businesses have did their training and taught their individuals that works for them. You can search for web searches, different ways of different disabilities. The federal agency resources, that is great because maybe you need some funding, you need some help, understanding how you could be more accessible. You could go to these sites and be able to find anything you need. The national network, learn about the national network. Contact your regional ADA center. That means if you are unsure that you are accessible or maybe unsure about a service dog, what does a service dog mean? What does it do? What is the law for me to have that service dog in my establishment? And if you don't understand it, you could call the ADA center and they can be able to help you and answer your questions. And the ADA, what is the ADA anniversary? We could go down here and go to the ADA. You can see so many. You can see the calendar. You could go to the calendar and be able to look it up and see what is out there for you. You can add your event if you're having an event at your establishment to celebrate the Americans with Disabilities Act anniversary. You can add that event to their calendar, and everybody in the country can see your event happening right now. You could go back over here to the ADA button and be able to go down here to questions. I like this because what is the definition of a disability under the ADA? A lot of individuals don't understand that, or maybe they just don't learn that when they get their business. And this is a great way to say, hey, I would like all my employees to read this and understand what the definition is under the ADA. So many different ways that you can see here. Does the ADA cover private apartments and private homes? Let's click on there and see. The ADA does apply to private homes and different things. You could go there and be able to search that out, and great resources, great programs. And I will show you an app that is free. It's a free app, and it's called ADA Dog. And I like this app because not only it shows us about the service dogs, it talks about emotional support too. And a lot of individuals have mixed feelings. Is emotional support dog able to come into the establishment where public is? Is service dog allowed in where the food is? And so many mixed feelings. And I want to say this is a great app to be able to download on your phone, on your computer, whatever it may be. You could download this app and be able to pull it up and get your answers right away. If you're not sure, this is a great way to do it because you can say, wait a minute, I have an app that will tell me what I can do and what I can't do. Do service dogs need to wear a vest? It said, no, you do not. Do the service dogs need certification, paperwork? No. And you see those online where you pay $35 and you're going to get a certificate to take your dog anywhere because you certified it as a service dog. Well, that is a scam that tries to take your money and be able to make a profit off of you, knowing that the ADA says that is a no, big no, because service dogs are trained to do a task. They are trained to be able to do their job, and there's no paperwork to say that that dog isn't a service dog or is a service dog. So I always say that this is important, that service dogs do not need paperwork. What is the difference between certification and restoration? You can see that there, and I love it that you can see it, be able to read it really quick. It's in big font that if you have a hard time seeing, it'll tell you that service dog can't be any breed. Yes, because hearing dogs could be smaller dogs, and those smaller dogs can detect blood sugar. They could do a lot of things. Bigger dogs can do mobility, guiding the blind, being able to hold an autism back that may run away. They'll be able to do many things with so many tasks. Can I train my own service dog? A lot of individuals said yes. The ADA said that you don't need a professional trainer as long as you train your dog to do a task.
You know, Chris, I think sometimes we get into trouble when other animals are assumed to be service animals. For instance, there was a case where someone had a pig and they call that a service animal. We accept dogs, but it's very difficult to accept other animals.
Yeah, the health department, when the Americans with Disabilities Act was created, and the first guide dog, a lot of individuals say that they didn't know that service dogs are for anyone that have disabilities, because they look back and they think a service dog is only a dog that guides the blind. And so when the Americans with Disabilities Act came into play, they made it to where that service dogs can help all kinds of disabilities, from mobility to hearing to nonverbal to autism and blind. So no matter the disability, now you could train a service dog to do a task for that disability. And a lot of people want to bring their pets, and I get it. pets are cute and you want to love your pet, you want to take them everywhere, but the health department and the Americans with Disabilities Act said no. The service dogs are the only one allowed in the stores, allowed on the planes, allowed in hotels, most hotels. And so, in buses, trains, cabs, and other transportation, service dogs only, because they are well trained. They are trained to do a task. And those, as you were saying, pigs, I've seen people try to take chickens, and that is emotional support. The emotional support means that that animal gives you the love that you want, gives you the affection you need at home. And emotional support animals cannot go everywhere because they're not trained to do a task. Even though you may say, my dog and my cat is well trained, they will stay where I tell them to stay. They won't bark, they won't bite. Those are good things to have when you're out there in the community walking your cat or your dog or your pig, but they are not doing a task. So you are allowed to have your emotional support animal at your home, apartment, housing. Some of them may ask for a certificate from the doctor stating that you need a emotional support animal at your home. So that's where emotional support animals are supposed to be, is at home, in your comfort, in your own car. And patches have been sold all over line. You can buy a patch that says my dog or cat animal is a service animal. And the ADA said only animal that is recognized is dogs. They are recognized under the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. And if you get caught trying to say that your animal is a service animal or a service dog and it's not trained to do a task, that means you could get a fine from $500 to $5,000, and you have to go to federal court. And that business could get in trouble because they allowed you in there, and depending on the judge, they can put you in prison for 2 to 5 years because you had tried to say that your animal is a service animal when it's not. And there is a lot of rules and regulations in different states, but this free app will help you understand so many of it. And right here, we can see individually trained to perform specific tasks and protected under the ADA. And if we drop down all the way to the bottom, it says emotional support animal. No training required. No, it's not protected under the ADA. So that means if I take my dog and it's a pet to the store and I say that my dog is a service dog and that establishment lets me in because I said my dog is a service dog, and if somebody gets sick because they're allergic to the dog, if they get scared and have a panic attack and have to go to the hospital, who gets in trouble? Not the store, you and the store for not obeying the rules. Because there are 2 questions that every store or every business can ask. Those 2 questions is your service dog trained to do a task due to your disability? The other one is that a service dog? They're not asking you to sit down and tell you about your disability. They want to know, what task does your dog do? Just like me, I am legally blind and my dog guides me around things and helps me to be safe. And yet my dog is a service dog. So they have to do a task. And if the federal courts find out that that individual went to the hospital, you can face time in prison. And we don't want that. We want to educate you and allow you to understand what the Americans with Disabilities Act is and what is protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act. The housing, if you read down, it talks about the housing rights and Fair Housing Act. Some of them may ask for a paper from a doctor stating that you really need that animal. And they may only say it's only cats and dogs. They can say that. And, there's a lot of information here that really helps clarify different aspects of the Disabilities Act and the Ohio Service Dog Awareness Week, which is coming up the last week of July, and many events happening. We have events on July 25th and July 26th. We're going to be playing games at the Tabletop Cafe in Columbus, Ohio. We'll be playing games and having drinks and food. So, that's at 6:00 there on High Street. And then we will, Saturday, July 26th, we will be meeting at Broad and High on the corner there. And we're going to take awareness walk. That means we're going to go and just be visible, wearing our favorite t-shirt, bringing our service dog, and walking around and letting individuals see us, ask us questions, because that's what we want. We want you to ask questions. A lot of people like to sit there and look at you and think in their head, I wonder how they do this. I wonder how they do that. We want you to not just sit there and stare at us. We want you to come up and ask us questions. Feel free to talk to us because we're always willing to help you learn about different disabilities and what is right and what is wrong, the ways of helping individuals.
I think if you miss this year, be aware that every year they have similar kinds of activities that Chris has been mentioning. So it's not a once and then never again. It's once every year.
Yeah, that is true. Once every year we do it and we celebrate visibility. Like I said, July 26th is our awareness walk. And then after our walk, we will go to lunch to the Chocolate Cafe in Columbus. And then after that, we will go to a piano bar where we will hang out and just have fun, sing your favorite songs, play your favorite songs, dance, whatever you would like to do.
Chris, how about some words of wisdom regarding these two events?
Words of wisdom: don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask those two questions. Is your service dog fully trained due to your disability? What task does your service dog do for you? Don't be afraid to ask those two questions, and be mindful. If you want to know and get to know someone, just speak up and talk to them and get to know them, be their friend, because a lot of individuals could be homebound and may not get out so much and have no friends. So you may be an awesome friend to them and be able to take them out and enjoy the community together.